Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fulhamish quick take after Fulham's 3-2 win at the City Ground last night against Nottingham Forest. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but wow. I'm a little bit hoarse. I'm a bit hungover. I got back very, very early this morning. What a game. What a brilliant second half that was, and what a brilliant 5.5 minutes of football we witnessed as Fulham scored 3 goals, came from 1-0 down to turn the match on its head. We made it a bit nervy in the end, didn't we? But we saw it out brilliantly. Fantastic at seeing out games. I wish we could maybe see out games by 2 goals rather than always having to be nervy by seeing games out by 1 goal. But hey, doesn't matter how you get the wins as long as you do. Anyway, put your questions in the comments. I'm going to try and react to as many of them as I can during the show. If I have a massive coughing fit, it's just because I completely lost my voice last night. I probably should have got someone else to help me do this, shouldn't I? But hey, here we are. Lessons learned. Let's go through the just kind of the game a bit chronologically. Obviously, I was actually a bit annoyed with the whole lineup. If anyone saw me beforehand, they'd have probably heard my wrath. As much as I was really pleased about last night, I think it's absolutely ludicrous, the situation that we've left a perfectly good left back deputy in Joe Bryan go. There's my voice. And signed a completely unfit left back in Layvin Kazawa. Yes, Kazawa is a good left back, maybe a better pedigree left back than Joe Bryan, considering what he's achieved in the game for PSG. Only defender to score a Champions League hat-trick. He's obviously decent. But to let a fit one go and then to sign a completely unfit one, and especially when we saw Joe Bryan score for Nice, I looked at that lineup and, I mean, none of us actually knew what Silva was going to do. I think there was a lot of discussion, like, as he moved to a back 5, is it Decadova Reed left wing back and then a back kind of a 3 at centre back with Issa Diop maybe in the middle. It was actually, or maybe it's Issa Diop at left back, but actually turned out Tim Ream was at left back. And look, we got away with it. Tim Ream has played left back before, a bit for Bolton, but it's not his main position. And he got caught out a couple of times, particularly with Brennan Johnson completely exposed him in the first half. Just pace. You know, Tim Ream's like a great centre back. He's protected by Paulinho, but a better team last night would have exposed him. And it's a situation completely of our own making. Fingers crossed, international break, Robinson can get fit, and if Robinson can't get fit, then maybe Kazawa can get some match fitness. But he didn't even make the squad last night. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm focusing on bad things, right? Let's focus on the good. And the got Forest goal, bit sloppy, but also quite well worked. A 1-0 was just in the right place, the right time. 1-0 happens. But from there, I really feared the worst. And I spoke to some people at half time, and a lot of people were just saying, if we get a point out of this, we'll be very happy. And none of us could have predicted what happened next. A 5-minute blitz from Fulham. It started with Tosin's header. If you read Peter Rutz's article in The Athletic, he outlines how that goal happens fantastically. It's a move we've seen before. The blocking move, the famous Fulham block. Mitrovic gets in the way of Ryan Yates. He's the one marking Tosin Adarabioyo. That's how Tosin gets a free header in the middle of the box. Really good header, though. You still got to get that, not just on target, but like in the corner like he did. So fantastic header from Tosin, well worked from Fulham, and then the floodgates just opened. That João Paulinho rocket, it was really well worked in the build-up as well. It was good play from Kenny Tete. He saw Paulinho's run, but you could see the run all you like. You've got to hit it, and you've got to get it in the top corner, and Dean Henderson had no chance. It was such a brilliant goal. What a brilliant moment. João Paulinho, restrain yourself, man. You're on 4 yellow cards. You didn't need to celebrate with the crowd. So he's suspended for the Newcastle game. Obviously, that's a blow. He was so good in general, Paulinho. We know how good Paulinho is. He shouldn't be playing for us. He should be playing genuinely for a top 4 side, probably even a top 2 side. He is unreal. He's on a 6-year contract. It's potentially, we signed him for less than £20 million. It's one of the best deals of all time. It's an absolute steal. He was sensational yesterday, and the goal topped it off. I love his passion. I love that he just can't control himself so much that even though he's on 4 yellows, he just wants to celebrate with the crowd so much. I think he was really touched by the Tequila Paulinho song at the end, and all of the Fulham boys were singing it to him as well, I think, during the celebrations at full time. What a Rolls Royce of a player. And then our other man in the middle, our other engine, Harrison Reed, never scored for Fulham, popping up at the back post. A fantastic run from Diogo, a brilliant ball from Mitrovic to Diogo, and the unsung hero of that third goal, Willian, who I thought had a solid debut yesterday. I thought he was great, just clearly experienced, just knows where to be, and he's so intelligent. And that run he makes to the front post, it drags all the centre backs with Willian. No one sees Harrison Reed making that late run. And again, one a bit like Tosin's goal, you got to finish it. It's not like that simple. It wasn't a tap in. Took it really, really well. And so good for Harrison Reed to get his first goal for the club. Richly deserved. I find it hilarious that he couldn't score in a season where we scored 106 goals, yet in the Premier League, he's managed to finally get his first goal. But yeah, kudos to Harrison. And I think all of us at that stage just head in hands. I was like, what have we just witnessed? I mean, I remember in the Championship, I think under Slavisa, we scored 4 goals in 7 minutes once against a 10-man Ipswich. And that was impressive at the time, don't get me wrong. But to do this at the Premier League level, 3 goals in 5.5 minutes, and we actually had a chance not long after to make it 4 as well. I think Mitra, if he just found the right pass, there was a potential for a 4th. It's just sensational. We at times look so good going forward. And we just blew Forest away, and their confidence dropped. Obviously, that's the second game in a row that they've done that, and it's such a massive win. We let them back into the game. I thought it was a really sloppy goal. I think Tosin should do loads better there. I'm not sure what he's trying to do, letting it lay up in the box. Like, I should kick it out for a corner. Like, we can defend corners. We'll be fine. Well, I mean, we can't defend corners because our first goal was conceded. It was a mere corners. And maybe he saw that and thought, crap, maybe the better option is just to lay it up in the middle of the box and see who gets first there. But it's sloppy, but actually how we dealt with it afterwards, the substitutions from Silva worked. We just controlled the game. It wasn't like time wasting, like we were taking ages over free kicks or getting cramp in the middle of the pitch. It was really classy, just keeping the ball in their half. Dan James came on and did a job. So did Kenny, so did Neeskins, and we just controlled it. And there was never any real threat of Forest getting an equaliser. And a massive win, 11 points now after 7 games. It's such a buffer for us. We said all the way through the season, we've said 1 point a game and we'll be fine. We've now got way more than 1 point a game, giving ourselves some breathing space. And plus, when you look at the fixtures after the international break in October, it's a great position. I really hope we could build on it. Obviously, we all know that this bubble might burst at some point because it's the Premier League and that's what happens. But what a wonderful position Marcus Silva's got us into now. A couple of weeks off for most of the team. Obviously, some of them will be on international break, the likes of Paulinho, Mitrovic. I guess Leno might go away with Germany. I'm not 100% sure. There'll be a few players going away on international duty, but some of them will get a nice deserved couple of weeks off and hopefully ready to go again for what's a pretty hectic October before the World Cup. Right, let's get into your questions then, or just comments. This one from Darius, buzzing boys, what a performance and the passion from Paulinho. I think that's the other thing with Paulinho for me. It's like, yeah, okay, he's a really good footballer. He's a Rolls Royce in the middle of the park and he just puts out fires all over the place. But the fact that he's really also seems so committed and he's absolutely loving life playing for Fulham and smacking the badge and all of that, it's just making me love him even more. I'm trying almost not to fall too much in love because we know what happens. But hey, maybe on a 6-year contract. I'm just every season that we keep Paulinho is going to be amazing. If we can keep him for a second season, a third season, my God, the things that we could achieve as a team with him in the middle. And hopefully he just stays fit as well. He's out on international duty with Portugal. So let's just hope he's okay. And obviously he's got an extended break after the international break because obviously he's suspended for the Newcastle game. It's a massive loss. We'll figure that out at the time though. Zach Bell, should we build the Paulinho statue next to the Mitro one? He needs to stay. He needs to have some longevity before we start talking statues and stuff. But my word, he's well on his way, isn't he? Your man of the match. Oh, I'm going to go for Harrison Reed. I think there's plenty of contenders here, but I think that Harrison Reed capped it off a fine performance with a goal. And I thought he was everywhere last night and so industrious. And him and Paulinho controlled the middle of the park. And that was so important. It meant that Forest struggled to build up a head of steam. And yeah, I thought Harrison Reed was brilliant. Ream was a revelation as a temporary left back. I'm going to I mean, yes, he had a good game, and I loved some of his play in the towards the end, especially when he was not time wasting, but he was trying to control possession at the end of the game, and he managed to win us a corner. I was like, what is this that we're watching? 34-year-old Tim Ream just taking the piss at left back. It's not a long-term option. I would hate to see that, particularly, if we're facing players like Sam Maximan in the Newcastle game and stuff. We need to sort this out. But hey, stick him at centre forward for a game, see how he gets on. I think he'd actually genuinely do a job wherever we get him. Paulinho is suspended for the Newcastle game. Just stick Reed in centre mid. I just enjoy to see if he can actually cope with that. So, yeah, a lot of credit to Tim Ream, but let's keep it at last night for me. Any comments on the amount of time he had to wait for nuggets at Watford Gap Services? Yeah, a long time. Yeah, the McDonald's queue. It was not fast food last night. I really, really wanted nugs. I didn't have any dinner. But yeah, I mean, and Navas is asking how many nuggets did I get? I got 9 nuggets and some fries. I already had a water, so I didn't need a drink. So I didn't need the whole meal spiel. Yeah, a bit boring, but I just needed something standard, bog standard, and 9 nuggets and large fries. You can't really go wrong, can you? Put your favorite McDonald's meal in the comments if you've got nothing else to comment on the football. Pereira alongside Reed with Kearney or Decadova Reed in the 10 position next week. I've seen some comments about Kearney coming into the 10 and then Pereira dropping deeper. For me, I would play it simple and just put Nathaniel Chalobah. I know he had an absolute shocker against Crawley, and I was the first person to say how shocking it was. But I don't think we should mess with the side too much personally. Silver obviously will look at it and may disagree, and it'd be nice to see Tom Kearney have a reason to start a game. I think for me, I wouldn't put Decadova Reed in the 10. I think if you're going to put anyone in the 10, put Kearney. And I can see the logic. For me, I would just 1 in, 1 out, Chalobah in for Pereira. It's for 1 game. Give us some steel in midfield at the very least, because Newcastle obviously going to be hugely dangerous. Maximus, thank you for asking me this. I didn't come on to it. Thoughts on Diop? I thought he was really impressive. I've seen some comments online on Twitter. Not too sure about his performance, but I thought he grew into the game, definitely. And towards the end, I was just pretty confident that he was always going to tidy things up, clean up. He's obviously comfortable on the ball as well, which is helpful. Means he can bring the ball out. And so if he is replacing Tim Ream or Tosin, both of whom are pretty comfortable on the ball, I think Diop fits that mold. I'm always a little bit worried, or like a bit like where the ball kind of looks to be going over his head, but he dealt with those threats last night. I wouldn't say that either goal was his fault. So solid. I'm interested to see how he fits into this side now, though, because if Robinson comes back, surely we just go back to Tosin and Tim. I think Diop's going to maybe be a bit part player for a while until we get an injury or whatever, or if Tosin and Tim's form really drops, then they know that Issa Diop's breathing down their neck. But barring obviously what's happened last night with Anthony Robinson's injury, I just don't see how he stays in the team as well as he played last night. Thomas, I think, sums up well here. Diop was good, quite a conundrum at the back now. Conundrum, yes. I mean, he's putting pressure on Tosin and Tim, which is a great thing because both of them know that they cannot let their performances slide. And one thing that I wanted to touch on that I don't want to dampen the mood or anything, but we're conceding a lot of goals. Like another 2 last night. 2 against Spurs, 2 against Arsenal. We conceded 1 against Brighton as well, which put the pressure on us. 2 against Brentford, 2 on the opening day against Liverpool. The only clean sheet was the 0-0 at Wolves. I don't know how sustainable that is. It's great when we can score 3 goals, and clearly we've got attacking potential, but we're not going to do that in every game. And some of the, conceding 2 to Brentford, conceding 2 last night, sloppy goals as well, really. That's a concern going forward. You can't sustain conceding this amount of goals. So we do need to tighten things up. That's my only criticism at the moment. It's just shipping a little bit too many, and Spurs could have scored a hatful more. Right, a few more comments before we finish. Imagine Paulinho instead of Dix Natuhu in the 2010 team. We'd have qualified for the Champions League. Well, let's put some respect on Dix Natuhu's name here. Dix Natuhu was a solid player, but yeah, I mean, imagine Paulinho in tons of sides for Fulham down the years. I think that him and Moussa Dembele are probably the two. I think he's up there now in that kind of conversation that Moussa Dembele, I've always thought probably the best midfielder in recent times for Fulham in terms of actual genuine like skill on the ball, not necessarily what he achieved for Fulham, but yeah. Paulinho, I think, is going to be in that register. Avas, great news. We've got Harris on a professional contract. Yeah, that was maybe lost a little bit in everything else yesterday till 2025. Great news. 3-year deal. He's obviously talented. He's obviously a bit of a goal scorer machine. And fingers crossed this contract means that we're not going to have a similar Fabio Carvalho situation that we had last year. It just kind of puts it to bed early. And there's a lot of interest in him. So yeah, fantastic news. Not much more to say, but just really, really good. Hopefully we can find ways to get in minutes. It's going to be tough now though. With Vinicius, with Carlos Vinicius coming in, I don't know exactly when he gets minutes. And there's one disappointment of when we got knocked out by Crawley the way we did, is that there would have been a nice third round Carabao Cup match. And whoever we played, Harris could have got some minutes. Yeah, I think that's probably it for today. Let's just finish on this one from Toby. Feel like our game management has actually been good and conceding lots doesn't worry me. I get your point. I think our game management has been good, but our better game management yesterday would have been to not concede the second. I think like we can manage games all we like. And yes, I'm pretty confident going into the 90th minute that this team has that down to a T, but I just worry. I just worry at the rate we're conceding. And maybe it's just anomalies. And we obviously have played good teams. Like Arsenal and Spurs are very good teams. And in some ways, only conceding 2 to teams like Arsenal and Spurs, considering the form they're in, is okay. But there's just something about the ease of that second goal last night and the sloppiness of it. And I just thought, if you do that against better teams, then we're going to struggle. And it's not every team that we're going to be able to go and score 3, particularly away from home as well. Like, let's put it into perspective. This Forest side is not good at the moment. They might grow into the season once their second team that they've signed finally gets in. But yeah, I think that it's just one to be wary of. I'm not trying to kill the mood, but it's just one to be wary of. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on the quick take today. I'm impressed my voice has managed to last this long. I really thought I was going to have a coughing fit about 3 minutes in. So I'm glad that I managed to make it. I've seen loads of you watching us live today, which is really, really enjoyable. Obviously, it was such a big win last night, and we just wanted to get some instant reaction out there. So hope you enjoyed the quick take today. I'm going to be hosting a podcast tomorrow evening, probably out Monday morning, more reaction to the Forest game. Also check out George Rossiter's player ratings as well, which are out on the Fulhamish website, and Cam Ramsey's positives and negatives as well. If you want some more reaction to last night, fulhamish.co.uk if you want to read either of those articles. So thanks for joining me on the quick take, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend. And it's an international break as well. So we've got a bit of time before that Newcastle game in a couple of weeks. So enjoy it. See you later. Come on, you whites.